Hello, athletes. Welcome and thank you for tuning into the Coach Katie Danger podcast, recorded live from Omaha, Nebraska. I'm your host, Coach Katie Danger, U.S. Army veteran, fitness coach, and founder of Red H Nutrition. Here's a fact for you. 99% of us are not elite athletes. We're individuals from all backgrounds, juggling life's priorities, including jobs, our families, their needs, and trying to find time to take care of ourselves. Every single week when you tune in, I'll be discussing clear, concise, and actionable strategies you can use to get the most from your fitness, nutrition, and mindset so you can optimize your life without compromising your time. So athletes, settle in and get comfortable. I'm here to educate, inspire, empower, and entertain you to help you enjoy the unique fitness journey that you are on. Hey athletes, what is up? It is Coach Katie Danger, and we are coming in live with episode number 82 of the Coach Katie Danger podcast. And today, I am going to be talking about goal setting in 2021 and how it is so much different than probably what you learned in college or in school or any other self-help motivational area or space that you've been involved in. And I'm going to specifically talk about how SMART goals, the acronym SMART, is stupid and doesn't serve you anymore in today's world. But before I get into that, before I just start diving in and cutting down something, it's been a couple episodes since I've chatted with you. A lot of stuff has been going on at the Red H Nutrition HQ. It's Red H Nutrition's 5-year anniversary. So 5 years ago in October 16th, 2016 to be exact, I got home from my 9 to 5. I used to do auto insurance claims at Berkshire Hathaway. And I looked at Sammy. And for if you guys are just getting on the first episode here, Sammy is my spouse. I got home from work. I looked her in the eye and I said, I want to start my own business. And the ever supportive human being she is unconditionally supportive. She looked at me and said, okay, well, what is it? And I told her I wanted to start a supplement business. She said, okay, well, what do you do? You know, how are you going to start this? And I already done some research online and stuff. So I had like a fairly decent idea of how I needed to get from point A to point B. And point A was like, I want to start a business. B is like, okay, how do I actually become a business? So I had to start thinking like, what takes place between where I'm at and where I want to go? What actions do I need to take? What person do I need to become? You know, what do I need to do to get to where I want to go, to start a business? And here we are 5 years later, and it's been quite a ride. There's been a lot of ups and downs. I could spend all day on a podcast telling you all about the things that have not gone right through the past 5 years. But the fact that I'm still here, the fact that the business still exists, and it has customers and new customers, and, you know, it's growing, at least in, you know, when I say grow, I'm talking about specifically vanity metric revenue, right? New customers in, more money. It's still growing. So I would say that despite all of the challenges, it's been a rewarding, enriching, and an experience that has forced me to grow out of my comfort zone. I could not have existed. I could not be the same Katie Danger I was on October 15th, 2016, as I am right now, today, in 2021, October, that I'm recording this. I had to change. And some of that change was really uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable. If you're listening to this and you have started your own business before, or you just worked with other human beings in general, and you've been passionate about something, more than likely you've come across somebody, or more than one somebody, who has, you know, whether actively or passively, tried to shut you down, you know, tried to say your dream is stupid, or you're stupid, or, you know, your products suck, or you suck, you know, something like that. This is where I'm taking the segue, and I'm going to start talking about goal setting in 2021. Now, I didn't have this podcast in 2016. I didn't have really a platform much at all. But as I've grown, I realized there are certain pieces that I need in order to grow the business. And podcasting was one of the things that I started. And we're on episode 82 right now. It's going on almost 2 years since I've been recording episodes. And I've been really consistent, almost one a week too, save for a few things where I've been out of town. I've just had some personal challenges that I needed to prioritize. So the reason I tell you this story to start is because if you want to get anywhere, do anything worth your time and your effort, there's going to be a goal setting process that needs to take place. And as I was coming up with the information for this podcast, of course, everybody always talks about SMART goals, and it's an acronym, SMART, SMART. Quite clever, actually. And it was first used in the 1981 issue of Management Review. And it's based off of Peter Drucker's management by objectives concept. And Peter Drucker, if you Google him, I mean, world famous management theory, businessman, marketing guy, like he knows this stuff, right? But I want you to understand, this was in 1981, this came out. We are in 2021. That was 40 years ago. Things have changed. Things have changed. Now, if you're not familiar with SMART goals, here is the gist of it. So SMART all stands for like some steps, 5 specifically, the components that go into goal setting. And I think that these are just, the reason I think that they're silly and they're not applicable anymore is because like at its core, what we know now 40 years later, this is like the no shit Sherlock of goal setting. Like you can't have a goal without it being specific. You can't have a goal without it being measurable. Like when do you want to accomplish this by? You can't have a goal without it being achievable. Like you have got to be able to achieve it. Something at least based in reality. And I know that there are lots of abundance mindset people out there and create your own reality individuals who listen to my podcast because that's who I am. But at the same time, you cannot defy the laws of nature and the reality that we do exist in. So when I say achievable, it can't be like, I'm going to be a human who breathes underwater for a couple hours. Like I use that as an extreme example, but it does have to be achievable. Like it's got to be based in reality. Then it has to be relevant. So by relevant, like, is it reasonable, realistic? Do you have the resources available to you? Does it really make sense for the time and place that you live in right now? And then it's time bound. So that kind of goes with measurable. Like how long do you want to devote to this? How often will you check in on your progress? Are there markers along the way? If we're talking about a year, 12-month timeline that you're giving yourself, you probably want to check in, at least every quarter, right? So at least a couple times a year. But once again, that time bound. So SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And the reason I think that these are silly is because duh. Like all of these are just duh. If you write down a goal, okay, I'm sitting here right now and I was going to wait till the end of the podcast to tell you how this goal setting has helped me. But I'll just tell you right now, I am training for Kona Half Ironman. So 70.3, it's supposed to be held on June 4th, 2022. We will see. There's lots of things still going on with coronavirus and travel and yada, yada, yada. But that's my goal. So I am not a good swimmer. I mean, I feel like there's 3 types of swimmers in the world, okay? And I'm getting to the point here. So there's 3 types of swimmers in the world. There's people who swim not to drown. Okay, so like they're not going to drown if they get thrown in a pool. Then there's people who swim for fitness. They're swimming to burn calories. Like they're not swimming for a sport. They're just like, I want to burn some calories. I need some low impact activity. I'm going to swim. And then there's people who swim for sport. And of course, there is a wide dynamic range of people who swim for sport too, right? Like we've got Olympic level swimmers, your Michael Phelps, and then you've got triathletes and then other like single event swimmers. Now, as an adult who is just getting into the sport of triathlon, I consider myself an adult onset swimmer. I know how to swim and I generally can swim for fitness, although like it's not something I choose. I would much rather bike or run for my cardio. And I took swim lessons as a kid too. My mom signed me up, took swim lessons. YMCA, got all the way up to like shark, whatever the levels are, right? But I know how to swim. But what I don't know how to do is I don't know how to swim efficiently, effectively for endurance over a long period of time that will put me in a position to be successful in a triathlon situation. So I'm like, I need to get better at swimming. And one way I'm going to get better at swimming is by frequency. And I'm going to do drills. So here's what I did, right? Like at its core, I use SMART without even thinking about being smart, like specific. Okay, I want to get my 100-yard swim split time down to at least 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So in the sport of swimming, there are metrics that you measure. And one of those is your average pace for every 100 yards or 100 meters. And I want to get it down to 2:15 regularly, like consistently, like in my next race, 2:15. It's going to be measurable. We know how to measure that, right? We just check our data. I have a Garmin. I track everything. Achievable. It's absolutely achievable, like absolutely achievable, especially with drills and swim workouts that focus on endurance and proper form. It's got to be relevant. Of course, this is relevant for me. I have a goal of competing in a half Ironman. Like this makes a lot of sense to get better at the swim. And then it's time bound. So it really is on a timeline. My race is in June. I'm going to have some races leading up to that to test myself. But the big kahuna is in Kona, Hawaii on June 4th, 2022. So it is time bound. There's a specific time and there's really no way around that timeline unless for some odd reason it's postponed, which I'll deal with at a later time. But what I know now is I know when that race is. So that's kind of where my timeline runs from. But I think this is really shallow. And I think that in 2021, Your goals deserve more thought and more attention than a shallow acronym like SMART. Remember, this was 40 years ago that this came out, and it might have been revolutionary at the time, but now I feel like anytime somebody says what they want to do, like I have a goal and you state it, it's implied that it's specific. It's implied that you're going to measure. It's implied that you're going to achieve it. It's implied that it's relevant to your life, and it's implied that it's time bound. So I don't think we need to spend so much time on that aspect of goal setting anymore. Instead, what I think you need to do is worry more about the how. Like, how the hell am I going to get from point A, which is where you are now, to point B, which is where you want to go? It's like all that gray area in between that SMART doesn't cover. SMART doesn't tell you how you're actually going to get from point A to point B. It just tells you like what you're going to do and how you're going to get there. So what I think needs to be stressed enough is that more than anything else about your goal, you need to enjoy the process. You need to be committed to the day in, day out, mundane, monotony part of the work that is required. Because if you do not put in the work, if you do not drill the drills, drill the skills, and put in the time and consistency with the things that kind of seem a little boring after you do them over and over again, you will not get to where you want to go. And that is the process. And people who respect the process and enjoy the process, then when you get to the goal, when I cross that finish line of my first half Ironman, I'm going to be like, all that work was so worth it. It put me in a position to finish it strong, run across that line. And I'm going to look at Sammy and be like, I freaking did it. I put in the work. And I know it's going to feel amazing. So the finish, the end goal is just the cherry on top. The process is what makes you who you are. It's like the change, the metamorphosis, the transformation that you need. So it's that stuff that happens in between. And all that stuff, all those inputs, it's completely controllable. Everything that you do. The inputs, so the things that you do, that is the process. Now, the unfortunate thing is, at the end of the day, you can't control the outcome. I can put all my work, all my time, all my energy into swim, bike, and run and do it the best that I can. And my training and everything looks good, and all my data and my analytics look awesome. But there could be a course scenario where maybe it's really, really too hot out, or maybe it's really, really windy out. And there's just some conditions that I hadn't planned for, couldn't prep for, whatever it may be. At the end of the day, though, even if the outcome is not what I had anticipated, none of that work was in vain, because God knows what the situation could have been if I wouldn't have put in the work, if I wouldn't have been prepared. When you put in the work and you trust the process and you know all the steps that you need to do, and you do those with consistency and enthusiasm, you will get to where you want to go. And no matter the outcome that presents itself at the end of your event or at the end of whatever journey you're on, it will still be so worth it, because you have changed as a human being. It's like you've got to forge yourself into a different person. Think of anything that you've done in your life. I'm going to talk about myself in the Army. I joined the Army in 2007, and I had a few years of college under my belt. My main goal, if you don't already know this, I always wanted to be a police officer. When I was growing up as a kid, I wanted to be a police officer, and then I wanted to be in the FBI. I wanted to be an FBI agent. It's all I did. It's all I thought about. Like, I was going to go to college. I was going to get a criminal justice degree. You know, I was going to be the best cop, and I didn't really know where I wanted to be a cop, but whatever. I wanted to be a police officer. So I put all these things in order to make it happen. I remember sitting down at my Windows, oh God, was it Windows 98? Might have been my Windows 98 or Windows XP, my desktop back in the day, the old dinosaur. And I sat down, I'm like, okay, what do I have to do in order to be the best candidate for a police officer? And I went to some websites, like I went to the New York Police Department, I went to Kansas City, like big name metropolitan areas. And I looked at what their requirements were and like what they look for on tests in their training process. And you had to be physically fit. I mean, the people who were physically fit, they're the cream of the crop. They rise to the top. One advantage I had was simply just being a woman, being a female in general, especially when it comes to diversity and affirmative action things. I mean, whether you agree with them or not, being a female, it gives you a little extra points, especially if you're smart, especially if you've got a college degree, especially if you're physically fit. And then especially, I found out, if you've got military experience. So I took all that. I'm like, all right, so I do have to finish my college degree. I got to get good grades. I want to go to the Army. I'm like, I can go to the Army. I can get all this experience. I can, add another, I guess, notch to my belt in terms of making me a great prospective potential police officer candidate. And that's what I did. I'm like, I want to join the Army. So I went through the Army. I enlisted as a military police officer because I'm like, I know that's going to put me even higher up on the candidacy list because, I mean, I'm already getting the training. It's like the Army's kind of taken some of the brunt for me. So I can be a really good candidate. I was like, how can I be? Who do I have to become to be the best police officer candidate I can be? Because I didn't want to go through the entire process and leave a stone unturned. So that's what I did. Like, I knew what I wanted. I wanted the end goal to be, but it's like all that stuff in between. So I did some research. I did my due diligence. I'm like, what does a good police officer look like? How do they act? What skills and qualifications do they possess? And then that's how I laid out the plan. And this is what you can do for anything that you do. So I don't have a really good acronym for you. I did come up with one as I was writing this, and I may have a better one, but just stick with me here. It's DADOP, so data. And this is a new model for you to follow that highlights the process, not just like the shallow who or what about your goals, but the how. It's the how. And first you got to ask yourself, okay, what direction do I need to go in? Where am I at? Where do I want to go? That's D, that's direction. And then what type of person does it look like? What do I need to look like at the end? What skills, what intelligence, what mannerisms, what emotional stability do I need to have in my life? Maybe even financial too. And that's an avatar. So avatar is just like another word for personality. Like, who do you have to become to get to where you want to go? Because I will tell you that when I got out of high school, I was not a good candidate for a police officer. I didn't have the skills. I wasn't fit. I wasn't very smart. I was very naive. I was very young. So there was a transformation that happened. What type of person do you have to become? And then what do you have to do? So that's the next D. D, do. What do you have to do to get there? After you know what kind of person you have to become, it's like, what does that type of person do to get skills? Well, if you want to be smarter, at least in my case, I went to college. I'm like, I need to gain some of these foundational institutional principles of life and education to get to the next step. So intelligence was one of those. Fitness. I have to be fit. So I got to find a workout program. Like, what works for me? What's going to inspire me? What's going to keep me enthused and motivated? And then I think one of the most important things that you need to do when you are talking about the process is be very, very upfront about the obstacles you're going to face. Okay. Now that I'm training for swimming, the obstacles I'm going to face, there's some very superficial ones, getting a gym membership, getting to the actual pool, finding a pool lane that's open, which can be frustrating as hell. But that is an obstacle. Getting to the gym during winter, live in Nebraska, it's coming up. It's going to happen any day now. What other obstacles? Could be injuries, could be shoulder impingements. Lots of obstacles you can face. So write everything down you possibly can in terms of obstacles that could prevent you from getting to where you want to go. And another thing you have to remember is an obstacle is going to be your mentality itself. If you are not mentally, I don't want to say anybody is not mentally capable, because I think that we all have it inside of us, but I would say it's a naiveness, a naivety about us. You have to remove some of the cynicism of life. You have to get rid of some of the arrogance that you have and adopt some humility about the process. You are a beginner, you do not know anything, and you are a sponge willing to absorb anything. You have all the choice. During your journey, if you truly are a beginner, a lot of people are going to give you advice. They're going to think, oh, this worked for me, blah, 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 which I guess is kind of what I'm doing to you right now. But without totally diminishing everything I've said, there are going to be things in your training that work for you. There's going to be advice that works for you. There's going to be advice that works for you now. There's going to be advice that works for you later. And there's going to be advice that doesn't work at all. Part of the process is sifting and sorting through that information to find out what works for you now, what works for you later, and what is not going to work for you ever. So be smart about that. Those are obstacles as well. So that's the O, D-A-D-O. And then the last thing is people. People. And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the company that you keep. I have found that is a very important lesson. I have often had so many things going right for me, but I put myself in a situation where I choose the wrong people to help me on my journey. This is, either a bad friend, a bad business associate, bad advice, charlatans, bad fitness gurus, influencers, and sometimes I've paid for that advice and I've really been upset because I'm like, great, I just spent that kind of money. And then I realize this person's just full of shit. So people, the company that you keep, are you hanging around with people that are far behind where you're at? Or are you trying to strive and be with people who are where you want to go? And that's where the humility part comes in, because that's an obstacle. I guess that's an obstacle as well. When I hop in the pool, there's often people swimming there that look like they've been swimming for 50 years with their eyes closed. I'm like, damn, is that Michael Phelps next to me? But what I'm realizing is that's the humility part about it. I am not at their level. I have got to stay in my lane and I've got to stay focused on what I need to do to get to where I want to go. That person that's swimming super fast next to me, I don't know what their goal is. I don't know how long they've been swimming. And ultimately, it just doesn't matter. What only matters is that I stay in my lane, literally and figuratively, and do the work that I need to do and do the work that I've laid out every single day without question and enjoy the process. Hey, I know, and you know, that I talk a lot about using supplements on your fitness journey and reaching your full potential. how I believe they're integral pieces of the puzzle to reaching your best self and best fitness results. But do you know how supplements fit into your plan? Do you know what to take for your goals and how much of a supplement you should take? If you've ever had any of those questions and you want to know how supplements can work for you and your goals, go to yourfitnesssupplements.com and take the free 3-point personalized supplement assessment. And with just a few questions, you'll have a complete personalized supplement recommendation in less than 60 seconds. You'll know more about how supplements fit into your fitness goals, what's safe, and what's effective and perfect for you. So type in yourfitnesssupplements.com in your internet browser, take the free assessment, and get on the fast track to your best fitness results. So DADOP, direction. Where are you? Where do you want to go? Avatar. What type of person do you need to become? What sort of skills and qualities do you need to possess? What do you have to do? The do. I would say the doing part is the most important thing, because you can know who you want to be. You can know what direction you want to go. You can list out all the obstacles and you can say you enjoy the process and even have good people around you. But if you don't do the work, you will never get to where you want to go. So the work matters the most, I'd say. I just mentioned I was going to sum up everything with this goal setting on Soapbox or something, and then tell you how this has influenced me and how I've used it. But I just did. I intertwined all of this. And I told you why SMART goals are shallow. I think in and of itself, when you state a goal, it is SMART. You know it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. That's a given, okay? But what we're not doing is we're just like, that's so surface level, man. That's like 101. When we sort of start getting into the 200, 300, 400 levels, like graduate level courses for an analogy, this is when you got to start using the new model in 2021, DADOP. What direction do you want to go? Who do you have to become? What actions do you got to do? What obstacles are out there? And then what people do you have to surround yourself with, whether that's online, in person, in a group setting, maybe you got to hire a coach, whatever it is. Find your tribe. Find your tribe, because they will help you get to where you want to go. They'll keep you on track. And most of all, they're going to keep you motivated when the shit gets hard. Because do not discount how hard this will get for you. There will be challenges. There will be days. There will be maybe even weeks, maybe even months in the process where you just don't feel like doing it anymore. Will you ask yourself, is this really what I want to do? I just told you at the beginning of the podcast that for 5 years, I've been operating Red H Nutrition. And one of the reasons I took 2 weeks off from this podcast is because I was in a very low place. I was frustrated, unmotivated, unclear, uncertain about if I even wanted to have Red H Nutrition as my business anymore. I got to a point where I don't really know if I know what I'm doing. I reflected after 5 years and I got really hard on myself and really judgmental with my progress. And I started comparing myself to others. And I asked myself, is this even for me? Like, am I meant to do this? And after a couple weeks of some soul searching, I absolutely love Red H Nutrition and I love what I've created and I love the people I've met. And we may not be a Fortune 500 company, and I don't know if that's ever the goal, but my goal is to reach as many people as I can and share with them how supplements can make them better. They're not the be all end all. They're not a magic pill. They're not a get rich quick scheme or whatever you want to think supplements are. They are a part of the process. They are a piece of the puzzle. And when you put everything together, they can fit in. And that's why I love Red H Nutrition. And that's why I speak to you today. And that's why I talk about goal setting, because it's very relevant to me right now. And I wanted to make sure that it came through on this podcast with the passion that I really, really have. 1, for my business, 2, for myself and my goals, and 3, for you and your goals. So that if you're frustrated, if you're unmotivated, or you don't know where the hell you're even going, that you have a moment to stop and pause and go, okay, you know what? I have this goal. I already know all the things about it. I know what I want to do, how to measure it. I know I can achieve it if I try. It makes sense. I know when I want to achieve it by, but what else is there? It's kind of like that gray area I just talked about. You're in point A and point B, and you're like, well, what happens in between point A and B? There is this, I'm just coming up with this on the fly here. It's not in my notes, but I think it's funny. Okay. I love South Park. I love South Park. I've been watching it since I've been a kid, sneaking in the basement at night at 9 o'clock and watching Comedy Central South Park, which is probably one of the reasons that my sense of humor is a little on the awkward side. But nonetheless, there's this episode of South Park about the underpants gnomes, and it's about business, okay? And Kyle or Cartman or Tweak, I think, Tweak, the kid of the parents who own the coffee. Okay, he's getting his underpants stolen. He swears by it. He's like, no, these gnomes are stealing my underpants. Everybody thinks he's crazy, right? Because underpants gnomes. So he has a sleepover. And during the sleepover, the underpants gnomes come and pay him a visit. And the kids They're all watching, and these gnomes get in his dresser and they take his underpants. It's like, what the hell? So they start watching the gnomes go back to their home base, and their business is collecting underpants. So this is the funny part, because you never really get an answer, and this is where the process is, right? And Matt Stone and Trey Parker, the masterminds behind South Park, they don't make this analogy. They don't really explain the process in between, but Cartman, maybe it's Kyle, one of the kids asks the gnomes, like, well, how is this a business? Like, what do you do? And like, oh, it's big business. It makes profit. And they're like, well, how does it work? Okay, so the underpants gnome, he looks up, they got this board. He's like, well, first step is we collect underpants. And then he moves over to the next part, and it's just a question mark. And it's like silence, very silence and confusion. And then the last step, so it's a 3-part process. First step, collect underpants. Step 2, question mark, we don't know. Step 3, profit. And it's just kind of like, well, you collect the underpants, but like, what do you mean you just profit? Like, how do you profit? What's going on in between? And I love that, because that's exactly what happens a lot with goal setting. It's like, hey, we're here. We've got all this stuff, and we know we want to, go over here to step 3 and profit or win or, get in our race. But we don't know what's going on in between. It's just a big old question mark shrug. We don't know. That's why goal setting in 2021 is different. You need more than just your SMART goals. You need more than just a question mark between collecting your underpants and making your profit. And that may be a really terrible analogy to use, but it's funny to me. And if you're a South Park fan, you'll enjoy it. So that is goal setting in 2021. And that's how I believe and how I am accomplishing what I need to do, and be very, very clear and certain that the things that I'm doing, the part of the process that I'm putting so much of my time and effort into, is actually going to get me to the end result I'm looking for. This is something that you do need to revisit. That's why I said, if you've got a time-based goal, that you should have data to analyze. You should have numbers. You should have trends, so you know if you're on the right track, right? So like with my swimming, just told you my goal overall on my next race is to get a 2-minute, 15-second split time for my 100 yards. And I'm pretty far off from that right now, at least the last time I tested. But the point is, I need to get in the pool with frequency and consistency. I need to get my laps in, and then I need to drill and then see what my paces are, throughout the week, and analyze that data. Are the drills that I'm doing affecting my pace time? Am I seeing an improvement in my feel for the water? All of those things that I've identified as notches that I need to hit, as, check boxes I need to check. You need to assess it. You can't just set it and forget it, because life is dynamic. Things change. Your life changes. Life can change from day to day, minute to minute, hour to hour. You probably don't need to reassess your goals every minute or every hour, probably not even every day, but weekly could be necessary. Monthly, almost definitely. Quarterly, abso-freaking-lutely. So take some time, think about your goals today. Think about where you want to go, where you're at. What kind of person do you need to be? People that are already where you want to be, what kind of people are they? What actions do you need to do? What obstacles are out there? And who are the people? What's the company that you keep? All that stuff matters. It matters a lot. And talking about keeping the company you keep, I'm going to wrap this episode up, episode number 82. My Full Send fitness coaching group has officially opened. One thing, on top of a lot of other things that were recently frustrating, was some of the entitlement that I was receiving from my large fitness and nutrition coaching group. There was over 5,000 members in it at one time. And it didn't really seem like I wasn't surrounding myself with the right kind of people. The people in that group, the majority of them were brought in from an avenue that was based off of a freebie. I'd give them something for free. I'm like, hey, come join my group. Let's hang out. But what I was realizing is the people that I had gotten in the group, they were fairly entitled on what they wanted. I'd given them something for free, so now they expect everything for free. And it was frustrating, because I have a lot of knowledge. And over the past 20 years, including a master's degree, I put a lot of time, effort, and money into my experiences and my knowledge as a coach. And there's no reason why I can't expect a time and money investment from somebody who has a goal, a really serious goal from point A to point B. So what I started doing is like, all right, I'm going to start a new fitness group. I'm calling it Full Send Fitness, Nutrition, and Coaching. And this is where I'm going to give my best stuff, all of my best information. It's a monthly membership group, and it's only $9 a month. And I can't remember a specific time in my life, except when I was delivering newspapers when I was 14, where $9 a month would have broken the bank. I can't speak for everybody out there listening right now, but $9 a month is pretty realistic for 99% of adults on earth right now. I really believe that. Like, if you're not homeless, if you're not living paycheck to paycheck and in debt, the $9 a month is not only doable, but the types of enriching information that you're going to get from this group is going to be far and above anything that you can get out there for $9 a month anywhere else. eBooks, PDFs. I mean, it's like a coach in your back pocket. And we're doing daily workout challenges. It's group coaching support. There's monthly giveaways. You're going to get recipes to help plan your meals. Your results and your success are waiting. And right here is an opportunity for you to align yourself with people who are either going to where you want to go or are where you want to go. So it's another opportunity for you to say, all right, Katie just said I need to align myself with the people that are doing what I want to do and they're accomplishing the things that I want to do. So I need to align myself with them. So I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you to follow the link that's going to be at the end of this podcast. And I want you to go to fullsendfitnesscoaching.com, fullsendfitnesscoaching.com, and sign up. Sign up for my $9 a month group. You can cancel at any time. So I'm not going to hold you down. I'm not going to force you to do anything. But the amount of information that you're going to get, and then just by osmosis, just by association, the amount of knowledge and skill and motivation and enthusiasm you are going to have will be so much more than $9 a month that you won't even believe that it's that cheap. That's the kind of group I want to create. Those are the kind of people that I want. Now, getting fit can be hard to do. Gyms are crowded. Goals can be convoluted. Personal trainers are expensive. I have a one-on-one coaching program, but there aren't a lot of people who can fork out the kind of money that I do ask for when it comes to the amount of one-on-one attention that we get. So the Full Send Fitness and Nutrition monthly membership is a way where you can hang out with the right people, get all your questions answered, get workouts that are matched to your fitness level, and you can do them on your own time for only $9 a month. So if you're ready to see the gains of your own and you want another piece to your puzzle in terms of getting to your goal, then you got to join the Full Send Fitness Coaching. So you can do that at fullsendfitnesscoaching.com. And I really hope to see you in there. I'm just looking forward to growing the group because these are my people. I've been looking for these people for a really long time. And I knew I had to do something when I was getting frustrated with the current group. I was like, well, these aren't my people anymore. And I've got to call it out. I've got to let people know I'm looking for a different group of people, a different vibe, a more enthusiastic, motivated tribe, a tribe that is willing to invest time and money into their goals. That's not just with me. That's with any goal. I mean, there's more to achieving your fitness goal than just paying $9 a month, right? You got to eat well. You got to sleep well. And all of those things could take time and money. So let me help you put the pieces together. And whether you're a competitor, or you haven't even broken a sweat in years, I want you to take a look at the Full Send Fitness Coaching and join me. I want to see you in there. I would love to have you, and I would love to serve you in any way I possibly can. But with that, athletes, we're wrapping it up. We're wrapping up episode number 82. And I really hope that this chat on goal setting is going to help you. Maybe you're unmotivated right now. Maybe you're frustrated. I hope it pulls you out of that funk. If you're not in a funk and you're just like, I need to get more clear on my goals, I hope this helps you get more clear. And if you already have a goal and you felt you were clear, I hope this can add a little bit more information so you can assess your goals and make sure that you're not missing any crucial pieces that could either help you get to your goal faster or just keep you on track more efficiently. So with that, I'm going to wrap up episode number 82. Once again, please go to fullsendfitnesscoaching.com. Join me. I would love to have you in there. I am here to serve. I'm here to inspire, educate, and empower, and entertain. So athletes, with that, this is Coach Katie Danger. I'm going to wrap up episode number 82. And as always, trust in yourself, believe in the journey, and whatever you do, don't ever, ever, ever quit. In the meantime, athletes, I'll check you again in the next episodes. This is Coach Katie D. Over and out.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.